Carter, the power Bryant. Everybody does us a favor and hits the like and share. If you're watching this on YouTube on the clip version too, you're hitting that like and share button right now. Good evening, good sir. How we doing?
Very proud of you, Blake.
What did I do?
Taking the son to the game Friday night.
I did.
And then my father, I'm 34. I'm a 34-year-old son. My dad took me to the Pelicans game on Friday night. I'll always say this. If anyone never listens to any word I say, if you are a dad, take your children to sporting events.
No question.
It is the best
time, dude.
Yeah, it's the best father-son activity you possibly can have. So I was enjoyed seeing you being involved in your kid's life. I didn't expect anything different, but I saw that makes me happy.
Dad, man. I'm a great dad.
Yeah, there you go. It's important to do that. But what's going on, man? Good to see you.
You know who else is a good dad? Jayden Daniels to rival defenses.
Okay.
Because he puts them in their space. So listen, Carter, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I think Georgia State, it is what it is. Now, we could talk about the game that he had, but I've seen you talking about it. I know that I've been talking about it. I kind of just want to briefly touch on Georgia State, but I kind of really want to talk about this Texas A&M video. Yeah. Very quick thoughts on what you saw offensively and defensively from this LSU team against Georgia State.
Yeah, so obviously everyone knows Jayden Daniels killed it, 8 touchdowns, 8 possessions. He was sensational. A big discussion today has been Kyron Lacy. Kyron Lacy was sensational. Again, ran the best route of the season on that slant versus inside leverage. I know number 5 got burned by everybody, but that was route running expertise. Kyron on in-breakers all season has been really good for LSU. And Blake, the offensive line, which is your favorite position, played lights out. And that's obviously very, very, very good. So offensively, it was great. I think, Blake, these next couple of weeks becomes really big for guys like Chris Hilton and Aaron Anderson, right?
Mm-hmm. Which we saw Anderson open a couple times. Just unfortunately, Jayden missed him.
Yeah. So, it comes down to this, right? Jayden's few incompletions. He had the one missed to Malik to start the game. But, there's a drop at Chris Hilton. You're getting elite quarterback play. I want to see production these next couple of weeks from guys that are multiple years into their career, right? So this is what's very key for everyone. This is a big audition period for players, not only in their current stop, but potentially their next stop, right? And that's even more important, Blake, on the defensive side of the football. We have a pretty good idea outside of wide receiver who the guys next year on offense are going to be for LSU. There'll be a few transfers coming in, but defensively, playing time is wide open on all 3 levels. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they do. Once again, Blake, I'm sure you talked about this. The defense was not great versus Georgia State. There were some good things, obviously not giving up any points after giving up 14 to start. But we all know that
giving up 21, but
it should be 21, right? We shouldn't live in a world of just end results, right? They should.
And I picked them to score 21 points. That's what pisses me off more is I should have had that
right. and what's funny is they exactly scored 14 in their previous 2 games. But you have to factor in that defense does become easier when your offense is putting up that many points. So when they get down and there's a 14-point swing on the next play, Bryant Thomas Jr. hits a big shot, your offense is just devastated, right? It limits your playbook and what you can do. So I do give credit for the defense, obviously holding things down the rest of the way after giving up 14 early on. But Blake, there's still a lot of holes and there's still a lot of guys playing for themselves out there, and it kind of gets old seeing it every week.
It gets very old, and you know what gets even more old is that they're not doing anything about it.
Right.
Yeah. Carter, how do you go against Alabama and then Florida having success on you offensively, and you're just so stubborn? They're not even running different things like schematically.
Right.
Like they're not even – and – You know what that tells me? That someone who's literally 1 foot out the door if you're Matt House. It's all it tells me. And you know what? If it's not, and he does come back for whatever reason, just stay with me, okay?
I'm with you.
The next time we have him in a press conference, you know that I don't go because I think that people get pissed off if they don't get the microphone and they ask softball questions. But the bottom line becomes I'm going to go to that press conference and ask him, why are you not changing things up schematically? Because it's pissing me off. Now, before we flip to A&M, I think the biggest thing that Brian Kelly said all day was Scarborough asked him about the interior of the defensive line. And he said, we're aggressively attacking in high school ranks. We're aggressively we will aggressively attack in the portal. I don't think there's any. I think that tells you everything that you need to know about what he thinks of this team defensively.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it, Blake, is all three of the main defensive tackles that are playing now had some incredible highlight-worthy plays, right? Jordan Jefferson had some breathtaking plays. Guillory did as well. Mason Smith did as well.
Mason Smith finally did, Carter, what I asked him. Okay, I'm talking about this when you get off, okay?
Yeah.
On the keys to victory on Thursday, you know what my number 3 or 4 thing was? I called out Mason Smith and said, hit a swim move on somebody. I guarantee you'll have a sack. 3 days before the game happened. What happened?
He did that. That's his best move, man. Yeah, and here's the issue, Blake. It's partially on the players, okay? Obviously, Savion Jones has had a brutal year. It's partially on them, but it is also on the scheme. Because for me, when I watch Matt House, it looks like we're in the middle of two different things, right?
I completely agree.
Yeah, and the thing that really sucks about defensive scheme, right, or just scheme in general on any side of the ball, and I know this word gets overused, you need some type of identity, right? LSU plays a weird mixture of a 3-man front, but plays a lot of it with 4-man principles, right? And when you have a player like Harold Perkins, who occasionally is on the line, he has a big pass rush to force a fourth down, and then on the next play, you're not rushing him again. It's weird. It's a very weird thing. And these players get mixed signals for what they want to do. What is the goal of your defense? What is your identity, right? Some defenses, like let's say the 2003 LSU defense, they were going to win and let their defensive line make a lot of big plays.
And they were going to play man-to-man coverage on the outside, and there wasn't shit you could do about it.
Right. And the Aranda defense is you clog up the middles with 3 huge defensive tackles and 1 massive nose, right? One of the noses being one of the guys in the middle. That is what Matt House did at Kentucky, right? And we don't quite have the personnel to do that here, but it seems like we're just caught in the middle of what exactly the LSU defense is trying to accomplish. And when that happens,
the problem I have with that, though.
Yeah.
Remember when Aranda tried to do that when he first came in here? Remember, that's the first thing he tried to implement in 16, right, was his defense.
Yeah.
Well, then it was Orgeron. If you remember, I remember this vividly. It was Orgeron that went to Aranda and said, listen, buddy, you got to put Arden Key's hand in the dirt. You got to go to a 4-man front. And they did. If you remember, he went to more against Lamar Jackson. They went to more of a 4-man front defensively because that's the personnel that they had, right? They were putting Ed Alexander at the nose, okay, who had no business being a nose tackle, okay, and he was putting his hand in the dirt. You got to change defensively. Okay, you can only say screen personnel so much, but when you refuse to change, why should the players change?
Yeah.
If you keep your head up against the wall, not a goddamn thing's gonna change.
Yeah, it's weird, Blake. And I'll say this before we start talking about Texas A&M. One thing that really bothers me, right? When we watch other defenses, I've watched Georgia's defense very closely. I'm doing a lot of film studies on them on the SEC channel. Just dropped a long one on the Georgia-Tennessee game.
That's what she said.
There you go. I knew I was coming. Huh?
That's also what she said.
That's also I there you go. Their defense plays so smart. Like it's amazing like how well disciplined those guys are. And what makes that even more impressive was they gave up a 70-plus yard touchdown to start the game.
Right.
And gave up no touchdowns after that. And I understand Joe Milton's not a perfect quarterback, but the fact that you shut Heupel down for the rest of that game, and if you watch them really closely, these guys are really – I mean, you could see their heads snapping in like mid-play. Okay, this guy went here, my job is this. This guy went here, my job is this.
Right.
It's third and short. This is what I need to do in coverage. They do a really good job of mixing and matching, and all their players know what to do in that situation. One final thing, Blake, that is just simple. And look, you and I, obviously your playing career was far more extensive than mine. We can't play at a Division I Power 5 level.
No.
99, but unless some of the players are watching this now, 99% of you watching this can't do either, okay? But the one thing I would think every single one of you would do if you were given the opportunity to play for LSU football would play at 1,000%, okay? This is all I ask. If there is anyone with LSU football watching this, said it on my show, I'll say it on your show as well. If there is a pile of players and the running back is not down yet,
go light his ass up.
Yes, it is imperative that you fly in there and not let the pile keep moving forward. Right. It is simple physics. If a running back is stood up and two other offensive linemen run behind there and start pushing him, guess what's going to happen, Blake? They're going to start going this way, okay? Right. You see that simple physics. You need to get your butt in there and start pushing it this way, back the other way. There are so many times where I've seen the LSU defense just let the pile keep moving forward. No, get your head in there and cause some kind of friction, all right? I'm not a master physicist. I'm not Albert Einstein, but force equals mass time acceleration. We need more mass to be accelerated back this way. And it drove me crazy that you kept seeing that versus Georgia State where the pile would keep getting moved forward.
All right. Hold on. Because they have a debate in the chat about Brandon Taylor. Well, I'll just say it. Brandon Taylor's not going to be the next safeties coach at LSU. All right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Carl, let's talk a little bit of A&M here. Listen, basically all week I'll talk about LSU offense versus A&M's defense because I know that Jalen Henderson from A&M is a new QB and they have been really bad at times, me and A&M running the football on offense. They're 84th in the country at rushing offense. And I don't think that you're going to stop them. I think Evan Stewart can light you up. The thing that scares me the most is what it's always scared me the most, though. They have the best front seven in the country. They're better than Georgia. They're better than Ohio State. They're better than Michigan. Carl, they're second in the country in sacks. Walter Nolan, Diggs, Edrin Cooper, a kid that Orgeron thought couldn't play here, that should be on this team. Shamar Turner, McKinley Jackson, two dudes in the interior. Carter, between the both of them, they have 11.5 sacks in the interior. And something I've complained about since 2019, you do not have the interior defensive lineman here that is worth a damn sometimes. Okay? That front seven is nasty. It's the best defense that we've seen all year, but it's the best offense that A&M's seen all year by a long shot.
Yeah, I agree. You go back to the Miami game. Miami had a lot of success, and that was a road game for Texas A&M. Ole Miss had a lot of success. They put up 30-plus points.
Also a road game for A&M.
Right. That's been the big issue with Jimbo at A&M. His road teams have just no-showed so many times.
But this ain't Jimbo.
Exactly. So this isn't Jimbo Fisher anymore. And the biggest concern for me is the LSU offensive line, right? this is a very good LSU offensive line. This is probably one of the top 3 LSU offensive lines of the modern era. They're really good. Really, really, really good. The only games where you can say they struggled was against Florida State and Alabama. What do those 2 teams have in common that all the other teams don't? They have a lot of dudes up front. They just do. And they were all healthy. Okay. Why I'm more optimistic about the LSU offensive line is that they're at home. It has just been a big difference.
And they
for
were
them.
on the road in those other 2 games.
Exactly.
Right.
And they, since the Alabama game, have played so good. Florida was just utter domination. Georgia State, as expected, utter domination. And I just don't see that stopping. I understand Texas A&M. They're going to get a few rushes mixed in there. But I've seen Conrad. I've seen a few other people in here commenting. They're just telling the truth. And Jayden is just playing too well right now. I just think it is going to be near impossible for them to stop. Obviously, A&M's secondary has been an issue despite some of the talent that they have back there, some of the talent that I'm very interested in and potentially coming to LSU. It's not just Jayden, it's Malik and BTJ playing at a high level. And look, Malik and BTJ are playing for a lot right now. A lot. Okay. All-American status, obviously for Malik, the Biletnikoff Award, but also draft position. This is, and
this could be their last college football game.
Okay. And I know people don't like to talk about the opt-outs and stuff like that. This probably is. Okay. Just understanding what skill positions players have done in the past. Right. So enjoy it. They're going to
rabbit hole, but they don't need to play.
Yeah. But then, and obviously, we can get into a debate about if it's actually good for LSU to see if they have some other receivers that could step in and be that dude, right?
I think they would need to make a conscious decision on that. That's something that we can talk about at a later time.
Yeah.
But if you want to leave your legacy on a program, play in that bowl game. Bryce Young and those dudes played last year.
They did, yeah.
Right. All right, but either way, okay. Continue.
They should kill it. They should. I think BTJ and Malik will.
Yeah, I think they're going to throw it all over them. But the problem is they're going to have to throw it quick. I don't expect Jayden to take a lot of deep shots early.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do. They're not going to let them get explosives and see if their defensive line can win one-on-ones. But man, I just think
another game too that I don't really trust a lot of what you can do in the run game.
And that's the most impressive thing about Jayden, man. He
and by run game, I mean I'm talking you.
Yeah,
you understand? I'm talking about
traditional run,
inside zone. Like outside zone. I'm not talking about pull. I'm talking about typical handoff inside zone.
Yeah, so that's going to be very hard to do versus what they have. And something else, you get into the motivation factor here. LSU is going to be so much more motivated than Texas A&M, being at home also. But Texas A&M went into that game last year. That was a buzzsaw for LSU because that was their final game. Mm-hmm. There's something to be said about the final game with your band of brothers. That was A&M's final game. They had the Connor Wigman thing going on. So they had the quarterback, and he didn't opt out and played in that final game, which burned his red shirt. There was a lot of positive things going for Texas A&M. Right now, they're at 7 wins. A jump from 7 to 8 wins really doesn't do anything for your bowl, right? So I think you could see an A&M team that comes in and just mails it in. I really could, even though there are a lot of Louisiana players on that team.
Well, you just can't look. You just can't afford to take them lightly because the one thing they would love to do, all right, is they would love to come in here and upset you. And, look, Elijah Robinson is a guy that's going to be highly sought after. I think he's going to get some of those guys to play for him. I do think this comes down to, man, can you finally make a stand on defense? Look, Brian Kelly's with the team during practice. During practice, he's with the defense the entire time. There's not a goddamn thing he's going to say to Mike Denbrock, Joe Sloan, Cortez Hankton, Jayden Daniels. Now, he might tell Jayden this and this and this and this. I mean, I'm cool with that, okay? Like, I'm not saying that. But he ain't got no business being over there. None. So the bottom line for me becomes, if you take this team lightly, I get that they're 7-4, then you're an idiot. Now, I'm also old enough to remember that Miami did exactly what they needed to do. Look, they couldn't run the football. Miami could not run the football. I think they had 50 yards on them on that defensive line. Now, Tyler Van Dyke had the best day of his career because its secondary is below average. They're subpar. But that doesn't bother me. Like that, Malik and BTJ and Kyron Lacy, they're going to go off. I know that they are. It just comes down to, man, if you can make just one damn stop, one good stop, and give yourself good field position.
That's it. One stop. That's honestly it. And look, Texas A&M's offense, we'll see what they can do with Moss and those guys.
What did you think? Have you seen the Jalen Henderson kid play yet? What have you thought of him? They're new.
I'm not really watched other than
kick and move.
Right. The one guy that concerns the hell out of me is Moose Muhammad. Okay.
But see, here's the thing about Moose. I think Moose has like 25 catches on the year.
Yes.
They don't target him a lot.
Well, no, it's because Jimbo hated him.
Why? Wasn't it like the sleeve thing? Remember
it was
when
the sleeves?
He took him out of the game because didn't play him because he was wearing sleeves?
Sleeves. It was the sleeve thing. Jimbo had a no sleeve policy for his receivers, and that was it. And that pissed Jimbo off, and he's always been in the doghouse. And last week, Moose came out with the baggiest.
I saw that.
That was the funniest thing. I laughed so hard. I mean, he was wearing a North Face jacket, Patagonia's jacket under his pads. But yeah, it's that dude went insane on us last season. So yeah, for him, he had an absolutely incredible catch last week. That's pretty much the only highlight I've seen. I'm not really dove deep into any Texas A&M stuff from last week. I hope Kyron Lacy has a big game so he can exercise those demons from last year. So,
right. Well, look, he's a guy that you kind of want to come back.
Yeah, I mean, he would be.
Dude, he's been so freaking good the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's a team guy, man. He doesn't whine about targets. He goes out there, blocks his ass off.
Dude, he manhandled. Who would be what I feel? Who I feel like he's like?
Yeah, let's hear it.
This is gonna sound so stupid, but I'm just talking about blocking. I'm not talking about like as a receiver. That man hands like a Hines Ward, Larry Fitzgerald.
Hines Ward. I knew you were going Hines Ward.
Damn, my man. If you're not paying attention, Kyron Lacy will light your ass up. No pause.
I'm telling you, he would be an elite DB, right? He is so
catches too well. He's too much of a diva.
right. He's starting to catch, so you can't make the he's catching. I made that joke on here before, but I won't do it again because he's starting to actually bring it in. But he is one of the most physical wide receivers, and he plays every down like it's his last, man. So
he reminds me so much of Dwayne Bowe, if from an LSU comp.
Yeah. He's
remember Dwayne had serious drop problems.
I saw Dwayne before the Florida game, and when I tell you this man had ice, bro, his ice game.
I mean, he did get what was it? The first guaranteed contract ever. He got $20 million guaranteed, dude.
Money Bo, man. He's a rap star now.
Couldn't see worth a damn. Couldn't see. Was catching balls by the grace of Christ Almighty.
Yeah, he's definitely undervalued. I love one thing, and it is ironic because the Chiefs are playing now. I love how open he is about throwing strays Matt Castle's way. He's he always makes like a sub tweet like, dang, I wish I could have played for Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, dang, Matt Castle's like, well, I wasn't bad. I wasn't.
Matt Castle was pretty bad, bro.
Matt Castle was not bad for NFL standards. He was solid. I mean, he wasn't exceptional. He was solid, man. He wasn't bad. Chat, back me up on this. We're not going to have Matt Castle.
Right, you ready for this? You ready for this? Matt Castle. Okay, the best season that he ever had was he threw for 3,000 yards. Actually, yeah, 3,116 yards, 27 touchdowns.
Okay, is that bad? I mean,
it ain't great.
But he's not bad.
Games.
He's not bad.
He played 17 games. He got to 3,000 yards.
Yes, and he was 11-5 under Belichick.
Oh, were they?
He went 11-5 with Belichick, and he was
that year that he threw for 3,000 yards. Okay, I'll give it to you. They went 10-5.
Okay, Matt Castle did not stink though. Like, he wasn't bad. He was a good NFL starter. Okay, Matt Castle was
His first year at Kansas City, he had 16 touchdowns and 16 picks.
Yeah, once again, I'm not going to say he's bad. What's bad is Tim Boyle is starting for the Jets, and he has a career touchdown to interception ratio that's like 1-7 or something like that. So
don't clown the Boyle.
Well, look, he's starting in the NFL, and he's never been good at any level. But there you go.
No quarterback is as worse as Nathan Peterman.
The pick
yeah,
six
and
master.
believe it or not, didn't Matt Canada beat Clemson with Nathan Peterman? The worst quarterback that we've seen in the NFL, arguably with the worst offensive coordinator in the NFL.
Yeah, Canada, dude. NFL Twitter destroys Matt Canada.
Destroys.
And I'll always defend him for his 2017 season. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great either. He was Matt Castle.
Orgeron was very micromanaging.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that 2017 season. Canada wasn't terrible, but still,
Orgeron threw him through a damn bench.
Yeah, dude. There's never been a head coach and offensive coordinator that was a worse fit than those two, though. There are few instances of a head coach hating a coordinator more than those two disliking each other. And to tie back in with this current team, that's why, Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock have worked so well together. They liked being around each other. Sometimes you can hire someone that's too close of a friend. Obviously, that's Les Miles and Cam Cameron, and it'd be a disaster. But, Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly are the perfect storm. They left each other, and they're back together, and they've reached new heights that they never thought they'd reach before, and that's where we are.
Let me ask you a question off the beaten path, and I'll get you out of here.
Yeah.
Mike Denbrock, the best offensive coordinator we've ever seen at LSU?
No, that's still got to be Ensminger for me. But he's definitely up there, right? I mean, what Mike has done is really, really, really impressive. I think one thing that Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock did a really good job of this offseason was being publicly honest about Jayden Daniels, okay? It's the deep ball. That's all Jayden was missing from his arsenal, right? Yes, the intermediate middle was also a point of the field where Jayden would never throw it, but throwing the ball deep helps out with that, right? The deep, explosive plays is what made Jayden Daniels one of the most unstoppable forces we've ever seen in college football history. Yeah. And the fact that those three, all three of them, Jayden, Mike, and Brian, in almost every interview they did this offseason said, we got to get better at the deep ball. Got to get better at the deep ball. Got to get better at the deep ball. We're working on pushing the football down the field, being explosive. That being that publicly honest with yourself and understanding your weakness instead of saying, oh, okay, we can sit. We won the SEC West last year. We're good. The fact that they did not settle for just mediocrity.
Right.
Yeah, which is what the LSU offense was last year. and said, hell, let's push it down the field. Let's take advantage of Malik and BTJ. That symbiosis of those three is definitely there. And Joe Sloan deserves a lot of credit for that as well.
What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Oh, man. My mother-in-law, Alice Joe. That's a good mother-in-law name too, Alice Joe.
Alice Joe is a good. It's a good Arkansas one too.
She had a little shoulder procedure today, so I was a little sad because she's not gonna be able to make.
Is Alice Joe gonna be able to cook on Thursday?
No, she can't. So she.
Oh man, you gotta push back. You gotta push back that surgery.
I know. I was like, this has got to change. So she passed her cheesy carrot recipe to my wife.
Cheesy
carrots. It's like this. Has anyone ever? I didn't even know this existed.
What the hell is a cheesy carrot?
It's like a cheesy carrot. It's like a casserole, right? And she murders it every freaking year. So
what in the world?
It's world class. So my wife has been tasked with the cheesy carrot recipe. Okay, my wife's a great dude. It's I was like, baby, you gotta get this right, because I'm not a huge fan of Thanksgiving food in and of itself.
You don't like cornbread dressing?
It's just not my favorite thing. I'm just not really a big marvelous Riyadh. First off, I love this name. Cheesy carrot is nasty work. It's a marvelous. It is marvelous to use your name.
Okay, first off, cornbread dressing with a little gravy is what you get served when you walk through the pearly gates.
Yeah. Well, no, that I don't. I wouldn't.
It is with a piece of fried turkey.
Oh, okay. That is Matt Castle level dish. It's not bad. It's good.
Just compared cornbread casserole to Matt Castle.
No,
have you lost your godforsaken mind?
My favorite Thanksgiving was when my aunt made gumbo, and that was
Megan Finland makes gumbo every year.
Oh, okay. See, there you go. That's
and you know what the old white ladies do? Can I tell you what the old white ladies do?
Let's hear it.
They put potato salad in the damn gumbo. They put, instead of rice, they put in potato salad, then they put the gumbo in there.
Oh, dude, that's a Coach O stuff. I don't like it. You can't do that.
I mean, you know my wife. I mean, the man, they from the bayou.
Oh God,
born on the bayou.
You.
All right, so Carter.